guys. Welcome to the Empower Hour. We just getting things set up here. Oh, I had it set up here. My sister Hanifah. Let me make sure I can get her on. Okay. Let's see. Here she is. Hanifah. There we go. Hey, lady.
Hi.
Hey, mama.
Hi.
How's it feel to be a new mom all over again?
I'm tired.
You funny.
I'm
You
just tired,
funny.
that's all.
Where's the baby?
With his dad downstairs.
Oh, okay. I can't wait to meet him. Okay, let me get Instagram up and
Oh, let me do my share too.
Hey guys, thanks for joining the Empower Hour. It is Wednesday at 2 p.m. So Hanifah and I are, as you see, we are streaming from home again today. Let me show you why. Because can y'all see that? Can y'all see all that white stuff? All that white stuff out there. So we in the midst of a winter snowstorm here in Washington, D.C. area. And so we are at home. So we decided to stream from home. Hey Deshaun, hey Sweeta, hey Orsini and everybody else. This is the Empower Hour. We are streaming live today from home. Hanifah and Hanifah, the Instagram family, Hanifah is on the split screen on Facebook. So we're streaming from two locations. So if you wanted to see the entire program today, with both of us, interacting with both of us, feel free to join us on Facebook because we're there under our platform, Empower Our Talk Show. That's
Hey,
our
Pat.
platform on Facebook. And thank you guys for joining. We got a good program today. It's called, I'm sorry. Welcome to the Empower Hour. I am Alqamar.
And I'm Hanifah.
And we do this each and every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. Normally, we're in the E-Life studios, but today it's a snowstorm, and we are streaming from home. And the topic of the day's show is the blame game. Who's at fault for the breakup? Who's at fault? Is it his fault? Is it her fault? Is it their fault? So we're going to dig into the blame game. How you feeling, Hanifah?
Much better.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, let's jump right in. What do you think of when you think of like the blame game as it relates to relationships? What's your thought? What's your opinion?
When we talk about the blame game, we're pretty much saying lack of accountability as far as self is concerned, right? So it's always everyone else's fault but yours. Anything that goes wrong, any hiccups, any mess ups, even if you play a part in it, you find a way to put majority of the blame on the other person. We kind of do a percentage thing because we might feel like um, our contribution to the breakup might be smaller, and therefore that other person's own because it's bigger, because maybe we just had a mouth on us, and then the other person may have cheated. We kind of like have degrees as far as offenses are concerned. So it's like, oh, well, I just had a mouth, but you cheated. I didn't cheat. So then the cheating becomes the big issue in the relationship. And it kind of like overshadows your mouthiness or your ability to emasculate. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just pretty much pointing the finger at each other. and no one is really taking responsibility, and oftentimes you can't move forward.
I hear you. Patricia says, or outside interference. Thanks
Yeah.
for joining in, Patricia. Yeah, family, if you guys have something to share, we definitely want to hear you. I can see you on Instagram, your comments, and we can definitely see your comments too on Facebook. So join the discussion. Yeah, and I thought that this was important, an important topic to broach because I see a lot of that lately, Hanifa. I see a lot of us not wanting to take responsibility for, it's like the men blame the women and the women
Mm-hmm.
blame the men
Mm-hmm.
for us not being us not having stronger relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder, how does that solve any issues? How does us continuing to point the finger at each other and never looking in the mirror and accepting responsibility for anything, for anything, how does that fix the problem?
It doesn't. And I think it's important that we kind of highlight that even if you don't stay with that person, right? Even if you don't stay with that person, a personal accountability is important to your growth. Specifically, if you want to continue to be in relationship, specifically if you have plans to be in long-term relationships, marriage, commitment of any sort, with another individual, if you're not closing off yourself from society and saying, no, I'm never doing this again, but you're open to love again, specifically for that reason alone. You, even if you don't take personal accountability to fix the relationship you're in, it's definitely important moving forward as far as your growth is concerned. Because if you don't, all you're going to do is take that same baggage into the next relationship. And you have people like that where they, we've been in 6 relationships, and 6 times 6 people have gotten it wrong.
Yeah,
6 people.
yeah,
And we don't realize that we're the common denominator in those
right,
6 scenarios, right?
right,
But it's everybody else, and that's really a victim mindset, by the way,
yes.
that we play into. That's a victim mindset. uh Everything is going wrong for me. Why can't I find somebody that treats me and you have to kind of look at that, because those are what we call patterns.
Hmm.
There's
Hmm.
a pattern going on. you know
Pathological.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
Because
I
you
agree.
I know women who uh have been in like several abusive relationship back to back.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I'm not, like, this is not even a victim shaming thing. It's like after a while you have to step back and say, why do I keep meeting men like this?
And
That
what I recognize, that if just from my own personal experience, what I find is that those who do find themselves in back to back dating the same person over and over and over again, you know what I'm saying, with the same characteristics and traits, I find that those tend to be a lot of times the individuals who don't accept personal responsibility. It's like they go
right,
hand in hand, because if you are doing that for me, it lets me know that you haven't done the work to figure out why you keep attracting the same, you
right,
keep going down the same pattern. So
right.
it's like I hesitate to call them mistakes, because I'm a firm believer that's not, it's lessons. It's not necessarily mistakes.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I believe that you don't, you somewhere along the line, you haven't learned the lessons that you need to learn in order to
So you
grow
gonna keep
from
repeating.
that scenario. And that's why you keep repeating the same patterns.
So then
So,
that's what I'm saying. So where then you have to get to a place where you're like, okay, there's something that in this for me, as to why I keep repeating this, or I keep meeting the same person wrapped in a totally different body. It's the same energy, the same spirit that you're encountering over and over. So, as an individual, and as far as personal accountability is concerned, and self reflection,
yes.
you have to step back and say, what is it about me that I keep going through that same thing over and over? It doesn't mean that you're a bad person.
Right.
Often
Right.
we're just living life and we're not paying attention. We're
That's right.
not tuned in to what's happening in our own space, in our own life. We just, because especially Black women, it's kind of the way we're raised,
Yeah.
right?
or impulse.
We watch the women around us do it, where you keep moving. You
Yeah,
don't have time. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You don't have
yeah.
time. And so even like now, we have there's a lot of a big movement around self healing and self love and stuff.
Mhm.
The fact that we have to have a movement around that so that Black women can pay attention to themselves is crazy to me, but it has to be done. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
you actually have to tell someone to take care of themselves, to love themselves. You have to build a whole movement around that for people to pay attention. But it's a cyclical thing. It's like a passed down, an inheritance. We inherit this not by choice,
Hmm. Hmm.
not by choice. We
And it's
inherit it,
double
and
impulse. So it's just
yeah,
an impulsive
it is what you
lifestyle.
do. It's what you do. You keep moving. You ain't got no time for healing. You ain't got no time for self reflection. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, he hurt me. I'm bitter, but I'm gonna keep moving on with my bitterness. We just don't take the time to stop and really tune into self. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
like I said, it doesn't make you a bad person. If you find something and say, "Yo, it's me," it's not really those people. It was me all this time. It's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you a bad person. That's a good place to be in.
Well, let me ask you this: Why do you think that's so difficult for us to do? Self reflect, to take time to go in and understand what, or to look at ourselves in a what's the word I'm looking for? In the look at ourselves to rationalize what's really going on around us. Why do you think that's so difficult for us to do?
Well, if we're talking about now in 2019, my personal opinion is that we have too many distractions.
Mm,
We have a lot of distractions that keep us from really self-reflecting.
yeah.
We also don't have a lot of wise counsel
Mm,
in us. We don't have, and this is wise counsel. I'm talking about our elders have failed us in that sense, and our peers around us. Most of them are in the same position, and so
or
we're not
worse.
right counsel from anywhere. And to be honest with you, most of us are out here really figuring this thing out on our own. It's a
Right.
real thing. Yeah, it's a real
Right.
thing. So I think a part of it is, and then the other part too is that we can always find someone that can give us what we need to justify our position. You know that. It could be a friend, it could be an article, it could be a status on social media. We can always find, if we want to stay where we're at, we can always find people out there that is going to feed that part of ourselves where you're not wrong. You
That
can, because you're gonna go looking for that.
that goes
Go
into
ahead.
my whole theory of, I strongly believe that we attract who we are, versus basically where you say that we go out and we find or we look for and we attract, because we're in a certain, we're operating at a certain frequency. And so normally, you meet, what to say, the water rises to its own level or height or something. I forget how that goes. So it's like human nature. It's like if you're operating at a certain energy frequency, then that is where you
Hmm.
are, and that is what you attract. The set people on the same energy frequencies. And
You
so
know how many people, can swallow that statement though?
that's going
Because
into my
every time
whole.
that statement comes
I had
up,
two
they,
painful.
yeah, they think, you know what they think about? They think about the person that hurt them the worst, right? And they think about, oh my, I'm nothing like him. And no one is saying that you are exactly like him. No one or her. No one is saying that your offenses are going to match or be equivalent to their offenses. What we're saying is that, when you attracted them, that was your reflection, whether you
That's
want to
right.
accept it or not.
That's right.
Yeah, and so what happens is that when things go south, we tend to focus on the one thing that person did wrong, and that statement that you made, that we attract who we are, we can't swallow it because we're focused on that one thing. But you need to think about all the other things and reasons as to why you even connected with that person in the first place.
Why were you
You know,
attracted to that energy in the first place?
right,
That's
right,
going into accountability.
yeah,
The topic of this whole discussion,
yeah,
accepting responsibility, and that is where growth originates. You can't
yeah.
grow unless you do that. And I wrote down too painful when I asked the question of you as to why you think we don't go inward more often and reflect on ourselves and reflect on the life we've created for ourselves. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I believe that the pain thing has a lot to do with that. I think for a lot of us, it's just too painful to to really sit in, and so we mask it. We mask it with pointing the finger outwards. It's always somebody because it's comfort. It's a comfortability when you can say, okay, well, if he or she wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't be in this predicament. And so you're
It's a
able to
reason
be more comfortable with this real with dumping it on somebody else's lap.
yeah, and you give yourself another reason to stay where you're at.
Yeah, exactly.
Your comfort level. Growth is painful in
Yes, it is.
itself, and the process that it takes for us to even grow an inch is a painful process. And so, yeah, you just gave yourself another reason to stay put,
Yeah.
to stay put in wherever you're at in your growth. Now, our journeys are all different, and sometimes it takes people to get there. It takes longer for some of us to get to where we need to get to,
Uh
and some
huh.
of us are just quick learners, right? We're just quick
Yeah.
learners. And some of us, we got to take the test a million times before we say, now I
Right.
got it. you
Right.
know um
Right.
I think even space in between, like relationships and stuff, you don't see enough of that.
Uh huh.
uh it's it's almost like you don't even want to take time to be by yourself. I heard Iyanla told someone in her audience, um you don't even want to be with yourself,
Hmm.
and you wonder why they don't want to be with you. And I thought that was
Hmm.
so profound, because I was like, it is true. Most of us, we have a hard time spending time alone.
Hmm.
It's almost like we think we're gonna die if we do so.
Yeah, I used to be that way. I did when I was younger, much younger. I used to be that. I was very uncomfortable
Yeah,
being alone. Very.
yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody here, Danica says some of us are also drawn to broken people in the process of trying to heal them. We break ourselves.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But
The
I
why?
think that to I don't know. I guess it depends on the relationship of the broken person you're drawn to, because I mean, if you're a healer, then
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying, that's something different. But if you're drawn to broken people trying to build a personal intimate relationship with them, I think it's a part of you that's also broken.
Mhm.
And that's
I
and
think
that's
so.
the draw. That's the attraction, I think. You know? What you think?
So yeah, I mean, I have mixed feelings. I agree. Some of us carry energy that's that of like a healer. We kind of carry like this bomb-like energy that people who are broken are just drawn to, especially if you carry energy where you just have, like, you present this safe space, this non-judgmental space.
Mm-hmm.
People who are broken may tend to be drawn to you because they feel safe there. They feel not judged. They feel like, oh, my brokenness is not an issue here. You know what I'm saying? So they're
Right.
drawn to you. But I think also too, we find it easier to attempt to fix others than to fix ourselves, and so
Yeah.
therefore we take on projects.
That's a good point. Repeat
Yeah,
that.
we find it easier to fix others than it is to fix ourselves, and
That's,
so then we take on projects.
that's the whole point.
And
Yeah.
that's why most of us in like your relationships, this is why we get stressed out when the molding process is not working the way that we wanted it to work, because you just thought that you would take this person in and begin to just work on them and mold them, and then when you meet some resistance meaning that they're not bending to your will, and they're
You
not
get
changing fast.
frustrated.
Right, they're not changing fast enough to you, and they're not changing into what you want them to change into. You get stressed out, you get frustrated, and you know what? You abandon somebody in a vulnerable state.
Hmm.
You
As
jump ship.
opposed to just accepting them from where they are.
No, no, it's not accepting them. It's being patient, because that journey is not yours. That journey is theirs.
Mhm.
you know. But and I can say this as a woman, I think this is mainly a feminine thing, and I think it's because the feminine energy is creative energy for the most part, and we're constantly creating and giving life to, and nurturing. That's what we do. That's what the feminine principle is all about, right? And I think for us, we function from that place as women, and so as far as the creative process is concerned, it's almost like we're trying to recreate a grown adult, and so
Mhm.
we are stressing ourselves out. That person, just like us, have to want to change, right?
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
person have to be on board with that change,
Mhm.
right? And then also too, we have to be careful with trying to make people into our likeness. Why
Yes.
you think you're so perfect that you're trying to make that person into your likeness? That's arrogance.
Yeah, it's ego driven. It's ego
Yeah,
driven.
it is ego driven, right?
Yeah.
It is ego driven. So we gotta be careful with that. Now, how so the issue comes up. So you're telling me if somebody is this way, then I should just let them be? Here's what you should be doing. You should be looking and saying, is this a fit for me from the jump? Most of the time the
Mhm.
answer is no.
Mhm.
But we figure we gonna just, what, get some sandpaper and buff that joint out.
You silly.
Okay, we gonna just buff it out and make it fit.
Right. That's
Even
real.
though we know it don't fit, but it's just like, but I want that square though. I
Yeah.
need that square to
Yeah.
fit this circle,
Yeah.
one way or the other. But that's what I want. Even though I
Yeah.
know it don't, that's what I want. And so we come and we take it and we try to make it into a totally different shape,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
which becomes a contradiction
And it
and a
doesn't work.
warfare and that person's destiny and that person's journey and that person's nature. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that goes into learning who you are too. All that falls into learning more about yourself, because when you know what you
Mm.
are willing or can and cannot accept, your own personality and characteristics make up, and you know what you will and will not accept from the onset. If you see signs of those things, then you're more willing to forego as opposed to embracing and becoming frustrated, getting mad, and that stuff can be dangerous. Now,
Well, we all do it to a certain extent. Any need that you cannot meet in ourselves, you put the burden on someone else to meet.
hmm,
Any need that we can't meet in ourselves, we put the burden, and that goes for our friendships. You know what I mean?
hmm,
Our relationships and our
hmm.
relationships in general. So any need that you are unable or unwilling to meet in yourself, you are going to burden people with meeting it for
Oh,
you. Period.
give me
So
an
if
example. Give me an
like
example.
like we talk about happiness a lot, we vet people out. So yes, we say I want that person because the package, we're attracted to the
Mm,
package, right? The package is exactly, it's taped right. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty, it's sturdy, it's just the right package, right, for me to put what I need to put inside of it, right? And so we're looking at the package piece, then we get the person, and it's like, you know what, you need to be able to make me happy. And the minute that person shows some sign of unable to meet that standard of happiness for you, right? We get frustrated. But what do you think that looks like if we meet it in ourselves first?
mm,
And then we bump into people. What does that look like? So
mm,
that takes that off the table. You know what
mm,
I mean? So
mm.
another example is if you're a woman that looking for a man to just provide for you,
Yeah,
you get people out based on that too, because it's sort of
yeah.
like, yeah, because you have people say, well, what do you, women say, what do you bring to the table? And it's like, what do you bring to the table as a woman? But those are women who they want somebody to provide for them. And so when that person is not willing or unable, let me say unable. I'm yet to meet a man that's not willing to provide. Let's say unable.
Mhm, mhm,
They're not
mhm,
able to provide at that time, you get frustrated. You know what I mean? Because
mhm.
your expectation was, I'm with this person here. I think that they could provide for me, and now they're not doing what I need them to do. But what happens when you can meet your own needs?
Looks a whole totally different. The
It's a
relationship,
it's a totally different ball game.
and it's a lot more ease. I would imagine it's a lot more ease and a lot more peace. because
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? You're not looking for somebody to do something that they aren't able to or willing to do. So that's a lot of peace. Um, how do you express your concerns in a relationship without pointing the finger of blame? Let's say somebody your significant other hurts you, you know, and you want them to know that they hurt you. And so how do you express those emotions to them without pointing the finger of blame and shame and at them?
You want me to answer that?
Yeah, yeah.
I have I have failed this test many, many times. One thing with me though, I learned this a long time ago. I'm very apologetic. When I'm wrong, I will apologize. I will. Um, I definitely will apologize. But one of the things that I'm yet to master is, and I'm working on that, is I think that you need to address things as they come up.
Mm,
What I would do is like I will watch something for like 2 3 weeks,
mm-hmm.
and then explode on like the third week or something, which is
Okay.
not good. I should have
Okay.
said something the week before. So I think tone. I think the way we not is not what we say, but how we say what we say.
Yeah.
Tone. One of the things as a woman, they say that at the top of men list what they need from women, respect is always up on top.
Mm-hmm.
So I think how you talk to a man is important as well. Um, yeah, that's it. I think for me, it's just addressing stuff as it comes up, and then also your tone. I think people should be able to talk through anything if
Yes.
both parties are aware of self in within that conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I learned from personal experience? I learned that to share what they did, how what they did made me feel,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to saying, you shouldn't have done that. I'm mad at you for this. Da 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 da. You know what? When you did that the other day, it hurt my feelings. And it hurt my
Okay.
feelings because da 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 da. So again, I'm putting the onus on how I feel. So you know, it's not impossible, but it's difficult to argue with somebody who is expressing to you how they feel, as opposed to being on guard with telling them what they did. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
again, I don't know if that's even making any sense to anybody out there, but
No,
for me, I
I get what you're
learned that
saying.
just sharing my own feelings about the situation helps it to seep in better than pointing the finger of blame for me.
Yeah, I think too we gotta be careful when people do that of being dismissive of that person's feelings too.
Yeah,
You may feel that really have no cause to feel like that. You know, you might feel like, oh my gosh, you're being so over dramatic right now.
right.
That's neither here or there. They're telling you this is how I was made to feel when you did A, B, C. And I think we have to kind of recognize that, you know, and if we need to apologize, apologize, but take it for what it is. You might not agree. You might not feel like they should feel that way. You might not feel like you did enough of anything to make them feel that way. You know what I mean? But if they're telling you that in that moment and they're not beating you upside the head, or throwing things at you, they're expressing themselves, then you need to acknowledge that, because that can happen too, where you say, I feel you made me feel this way, and it becomes people become very dismissive because we don't feel like what we did warrants those emotions.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Let's get Vera in on a conversation. She says, I want our brother and his wife to work it out. I don't like to hear those breaking up. We have to leave we have to leave outside people out of our relationships. Back in the days, blacks stayed together. Man and women, my grandmother and grandfather stayed together. She said, is that their reason to running to white women? Black men. I guess
What?
that,
No.
huh?
No, there's too many of us in the world for that to be a reason. We're
Huh.
so different. We come from all walks of life. You haven't tried us all. So that's not a justification for that. Just like when women say this is why I can't do black men, and it's interesting because in the beginning what we talked about, Alqamar, is that so you met three black men who were alike, right? So, and that's the thing. Instead of doing some internal work on yourself, you jump the fence, and then you declare an all-out attack on all black men. You don't stop and look and say why this seems like a pattern that's repeating itself in my life. So
Right,
what is it about me that's drawing that?
right,
Three
right,
times, four times, and then instead of you doing that, you just say black men ain't shit.
right.
You get
I'm
what I'm trying
going
to say
to the
there?
white man, and then you get to the white man and find out that he the same because you still ain't
Yeah,
done
but
hurt.
my thing is like, sis, you've been with four ain't shit black men. So maybe
Mm,
you ain't shit.
how man.
And you don't
Sense to me. Makes
you
sense.
don't want to accept it. You don't want to accept that and grow from it. You rather just point the finger and say black men ain't nothing and I'm done. We gotta be very careful with that
Yeah,
because it happens a lot. And so, yeah, I know they mentioned they was asking about black men, but it's both ways. You see it coming from both. You
yeah,
know, Danica was just saying, how do you address it when they in turn respond negatively because they feel that you're wrong to feel how you feel, and that's exactly what I'm saying.
yeah.
That you can
That's why
express
I
how
said
you
no. It
feel.
don't work all the time because I've had
Yeah, no,
situations
no, no.
where
Yeah,
yeah, where it doesn't. People because when people are stuck in their own minds, when people are stuck in their own minds in their own way, and you try to come to them about they see it as an attack. Even if you're sharing with them how they made you feel, they see it as an attack as opposed to opening up the door for communication. So I guess
yeah.
you would just have to be speaking with somebody who who's open who's open to communicating you know in a different realm.
My thing too is like if you're with a person, because there are relationships where people can be very dismissive of your emotions. There
Yeah.
are relationships where they overpower you in the conversation. You can't get a word in. Um in those situations, my thing is like fall back and send an email or a letter. Like seriously, get all your emotions out in an email, a letter, just write it
and,
because
and-
you know that you can't even get a word in, but it's important for you to release that.
yeah, and I would make sure in that letter to explain why I was writing that letter because I can't get a word in edgewise
Right.
if in any other way. I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah. Put
yeah
that. Put that in your PS. PS.
at the
I
end.
wrote this letter
Make sure you do that at the end. They might not read the letter.
so that I could
We
express
start at the
myself
beginning with
uninterrupted. Thank you very much, sir.
yeah. But again, that goes into I get all that falls into the topic of this discussion. Who's at fault for the breakup? Because if you're not willing to hear the other person, no matter who you are, if you're the woman or the man, if you're not willing to hear the other person share with you how they feel, you might want to look at yourself a little deeper. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not even open enough to communicate, and that's where a lot of the trauma in the drama in the arguing and the fighting and the screaming and the yelling derive from, because one party or both parties aren't willing to listen to the other, to have
Yeah.
a civilized sit down discussion about feelings. But again, I think again, like you said, Hanifa, earlier, that goes into tone and that goes into how you express yourself too. Because it's one way, it's one thing to get your point across, but it's another thing to cut somebody out to do it. You know what I'm saying? That's another thing. So you're looking for trauma when you start off in that in with that energy, I think.
Yeah. And it's a learning process. Communication is like an area of improvement that needs improvement for most of us. For
Yeah.
most of us, we communicate the way that we've been taught to communicate,
Mm-hmm.
specifically with the opposite sex. So you could meet someone and they are probably a little bit more mild mannered than the men that you're used to,
Mm-hmm.
and you popping off and they're just chilling, and that just drives you even more crazy because you're used to seeing men going back and forth with women. So all of us are still, most of us are still learning, in as far as relationships are concerned. I think it boils down to how important is the maintenance of this relationship to you. If it's all about winning, then it's not that important to you. It cannot always be about winning. You have to be able to say, I know I'm right in this situation, but this isn't about right and wrong. It's about coming out with a full understanding of each other, period.
I agree.
We we get caught up a lot in being right and
That's
proving the other person wrong.
and that's one of my questions on my paper. I says, is saying "I told you so" ego driven? But before you answer that, I have Carousel. Thank you guys for joining. Unique Stature. I'm interviewing. Well, I'm not interviewing. It's Hanifa. We're on the Empower Hour talk show, and we're talking. But we are live from a split screen on Facebook. I shared this information in the beginning. So if you guys wanted to see the whole program, the both of us interacting together, you can catch us on Facebook under the Empower Hour Talk Show. That's our Facebook channel. Um and yes, Carousel, we talked about that. Energy attracts the same. Yes, we both agree with you. No one wins. It just looks like somebody's winning. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again,
You know,
going
you know,
back
I
to the
had I had an experience like that recent, and I found myself in, like, usually I might do like, instead of just jumping out the bed, I might sit there and do like a morning meditation, morning reflection, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
And I had a moment one day, and I was like, "Oh, this is frustrating me about this person." And then I'm just like, "But this person is my reflection," and so I had to, so
Mm.
I had to really own that and be like, you chose that is your reflection. So what's going on with you,
Mm.
and why is that thing frustrating you so much? And then I had to go
Mm.
with it, and I came out checked, at the
Right.
end of it, at the end of the process. But I think we need to do more of that. A big thing about it, Alqamar, to be honest, is that we're just not tuned in. Like, we
Yeah.
are so tuned out from each
Yeah.
other, ourselves. There's so many distractions. We have so many different things that's constantly telling us who we are to be as women, who we are to be as men, how we are to function in relationships. This is media, this is social media, this is environmental
Parent.
influences in our communities, and as much as you come from communities and you respect them, and even families, and you have certain, this is how our family is, I'm a George, so you might say, oh, this is how the Georges are, we're crazy, something like that. We're not crazy, I'm just saying. And then you begin to own that, and put that on yourself as a part of your identity. We have to start getting rid of those things that does not serve us, right? That does not serve us in a positive way. I don't care how um, connected or we are to it, or how much value we find in it, because a lot of things we are unwilling to let go of, because it we have to face the fact that this was passed down to us and it was toxic. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so we don't want to let it go because it's a part of, we've made it a part of our identity. So I feel like a lot of times the relationship piece, we're just tuned out. We're tuned out.
Yeah.
We're like in auto drive. We're
Yeah.
not even driving ourselves.
Yeah. A lot of the
There's
a lot
some
of the
forces outside of us driving us.
yeah, a lot of the toxicity in our relationships we're not even aware of. We're not even conscious of. It's just that we've been doing it the same way for so long that it's become our lifestyle. But it doesn't, it's not working. You can clearly see it's not working. We're in a
Right.
civil war between black women and white women right now. I mean, I'm sorry,
Black
black women
men.
and black men. Right now, it's a civil, I mean, it's like 8 out of 10, what, more than half of the marriages fail. 8 out of 10 black women are raising children, parents without the father in the household.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not working. What we're doing is not working. So we really have to step back and do some readjusting.
And I think we need to also stop pretending to have the answer as to why. There is no
Yeah,
one answer as
yeah,
to why this we're seeing this. It's not no one answer. And so when we approach this topic, we gotta be very careful in telling people this is what you need to do, because
yeah,
everybody's situation is different. Everybody's coming from different backgrounds. The influences that we expose ourselves to are different. There are things that people watch, like reality TV, that I may not watch. So for you to say to me, it's that reality TV, I'm looking at you like, no, it ain't, because that is not what I consume.
right.
So if I'm having issues, it's not connected to that, because that's not even a part of my consumption.
Yeah,
So we have to approach it as an individual thing, right? Because
yeah,
your background is not my background,
yeah, yeah.
and your childhood experiences are not mine, and
Correct.
they might be what's controlling how you do relationships, and mine might be, but we come from totally different backgrounds. So to think that we have the one answer for this whole thing is insane. It's insane
Right.
on our part. So we gotta be careful. I think it's so many factors that contribute to the failure of relationships, and sometimes, Alqamar, we just gotta accept that it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah,
Yeah, I ain't had no
and
business
be
together
okay
in the
with
first
that,
place.
and be okay with that.
And be okay with that. Like, we
Yeah,
forever
like,
trying to write stuff like, oh well, you should have did this. No, some people, if you listen, like I've watched people have interviews, and they've said, oh, they knew from like the first or second year, and by this time they don't been in a relationship 10 years. They know, like, from the first or second year that this person is not going to change.
yeah,
That this person is who they were. Like, you knew
yeah,
you ain't had no business there, but somehow you committed to something that wasn't even a fit for your life. And we do this
right,
all the time. So
right,
sometimes it isn't as simple as, oh, it failed because ABCD. Yo, it failed because it failed from the beginning. It failed because
right,
y'all ain't had no business together. And I think sometimes we have to accept that and own it and move on.
right. Is routine emotional outbursts, does that stem from unresolved pain, you think? If a person is always
What is that?
huh?
What do you mean by that?
Routine emotional outbursts, like everything, whenever you uh feel, whenever you don't like something that went down in
Okay.
your relationship, you hollering, shouting, screaming, you cussing, you not, you know what I'm saying, you displeased, and you know what I'm saying, it's always emotional outbursts every time you get upset at the
Hmm.
other person. What does that stem from, do you think? Could that be from unresolved pain in yourself?
I don't know. What do you think?
I think so. I think so. I think that's like, again, that's energy unrested. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? If it's one thing, it's like it's that time of the month. I know we all have them. You know what I'm saying? None of us perfect. None of us is just, you know what I'm saying, this even keeping kill of emotions. But I'm talking the person that's always lashing out. Always
Okay.
out. You know what I'm saying? Either,
And that's how they communicate.
that's
Period.
how they communicate. When they don't like something you didn't say it or did, they gonna cuss you out. That's just what that's where they go instantly.
Okay.
I think that stems from unresolved trauma or unresolved um childhood stuff, I think.
I don't even know you have to be childhood stuff. You could have unresolved adult stuff.
Mm,
Stuff that happened a year ago, a couple of months back, that's
mm,
unresolved.
mm-hmm,
And you're projecting that energy onto that individual.
mm,
Um, you know, a lot of times too, we have conversations in our own head that nobody knows about. You know,
mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
it happens a lot. Some of us are overthinkers. And the way overthinkers tend to function, they will think themselves right into like a stressful situation, right? And then you're looking at them like, what are you talking about, right? Because they don't overthink this whole thing. That happens a lot too, because you're having these conversations in your head like, why did he do that? Like, why he crossed his legs like that? You
Yeah.
know, why he drinking that water like that? What does that mean? You start,
That's so true. And then the next thing you know, you pop off.
you
The
know, you
other
start
person like, what did I
analyzing stuff.
do?
No, you start analyzing stuff and you think you are deep. Well, water represents the flow of stuff, and the way he's drinking it, he's pausing too much, he's not swallowing the way he needs to. So I think that's connected to his lower chakra, you know. Analyzing stuff like chill. It is not even that deep. That brother is just drinking his water because he's thirsty. But yes, that
Yeah.
comes from other stuff that you're bringing into your
Mm.
relationship. Yes, people sit there and have conversations in their head. I have been there. I'm a thinker. I think a lot. Like every little thing I could make me think about stuff. And I have thought myself into some frenzies before. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it sometimes it's just like I said, talking to the person to not be right or wrong, but to come to an understanding. Why do you drink your water like that?
Mhm.
You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Vera says childhood plays a major role to which wraps up to what you are all saying: environment, social, family, etc. Yeah, I
Hmm.
think we underestimate the role our upbringing plays in our relationships and how
Hmm.
we play them out and all that. Yeah, I would agree with that.
And the
um Danica
subconscious
says
mind.
guilty. I hear you, Danica. I be
I
raising
think
my
we
hand
all,
all
I
the
think we're
time
all
on the
guilty.
Empower
Yeah,
Hour.
we're guilty. She was saying guilty of like knowing something isn't working, but you still force it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like I think we've all been there. And I'm like,
Mhm.
woman, we are the masters of that. That is what we do. That is what we
Yeah,
do. Like we're
yeah.
just geniuses at
I'm gonna
doing it.
fix him. I'm
Yeah,
gonna make
we
this
we
work.
will look at something, we will look at a square, and we will convince the world that this thing is not a square, it is a circle. And
Yeah,
everybody's looking like, no, it's not, it's a square. And you're like, no, it's a circle. Look at the sides. Like we
yeah.
were convinced, because we've convinced ourselves.
Sounds. I was gonna say that because you gotta convince yourself first in order to convince somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
we're the masters. We're the masters of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Completely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what about if in fellas anger issues in the brothers? Could that be linked to depression?
Anger
Do
issues
I
with
be
men.
coming up with, or do I just be coming up with my own terminologies?
This is the water thing I was talking about.
I'm asking a question. I
Yeah,
don't know.
because black folks, we like symbology. Like we're just on it. You're like, hmm,
You're
them being
depressed.
so angry.
You're
Could that
depressed.
be connected?
Your father beat you too much as a child. I don't know.
Look,
I'm asking. That's why I'm
and
asking.
the poor dad, he was the best dad ever. Ain't got nothing to do with that anger. You don't skip
Right.
the ex-wife and the ex-girlfriend that hurt that person. You went straight to daddy when they were 5 years old, and the dad is like, not me. That was not me. I did not jack him out. That
Well,
was her. That was 18 years later.
okay,
But
okay.
I ugh, for me, I'll just say this. I think black people, in as long as we are trying to do relationship in the society that we live in,
Mhm.
we have to prepare ourselves for friction,
Mm.
because there are going to always be outside influences, whether it's that man at that job that can't get the promotion
Mhm.
that he wants because of ABC, or you as a woman that you just seen the politics in the workplace, because now you have this intersectionality of woman and black, right? Being black and
Mhm.
woman. Um, so I think that we have to be prepared as black women, especially if you are exclusively for black men, and
Yeah.
you as a man are exclusively for black women. Just be prepared for that. There's a war against each of you guys individually, and then the two of you guys are trying to come together and do this whole union thing. You can't forget the war that's already being waged.
Right. Right.
And I think a lot of times we end up doing that, and so the pressures of the war, or the witness of so many people being lost in that war. We have couples that we look up to that just all of a sudden divorce,
Mm,
That does something to you. It impacts you too. So you kind of have to like insulate, in a sense, your relationship. You have to be aware of that. And so when you come together, you're coming together knowing that these are these forces that are already working against us. We can't be at war with ourselves
yeah,
within this
yeah,
home. Right. We can't
yeah.
afford it. We can't afford. I'm not saying that there's no space for a black man and a black woman to argue, but
Correct.
how we argue matters.
Yes, yes. So when you
Yeah.
understand, and I think that is so key and important to understand the war that's waged.
Yeah.
Because when you understand it, you're better able to navigate those hiccups and those potholes when in the relationship because you understand better. You know what I'm saying? And you're more willing to make sacrifices for the better for the good of the relationship and things like that. I'm not saying hang in there when somebody's beating you upside your head every day. But
Right.
when it comes to
Right. Right.
petty bickering and all that kind of stuff, you're more understanding as to why the situation is the way it is because you know that there's other factors involved in a
Mm-hmm.
relationship. I know somebody in the relationship between the black man and the black woman. And I think Vera was the one who mentioned something about is that why the like black men run to white women? You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Because you know what I'm saying, maybe they don't have the same they don't they don't have to deal with the same things that black women do in this society. And
Mm-hmm.
so it looks different. The relationship looks different with them, and so it looks like a type of oasis or something. I don't know. I don't know.
One of the things that I've learned too is that if you know you have a good thing going, and this is just for men and women,
Mm-hmm.
you have a good thing going with the person that you're with. Stay away from all men and all women conversations.
Mm.
Away from those because they will influence you. You know,
Mm.
see three of your girlfriends going through the same thing, y'all having these man bashing conversations. You shouldn't even be partaking in that because you don't fall in that category. If you have a good man at home or you have a good woman at home, you gotta be careful with these conversations because you leave out of those conversations with that energy on you and you bring
Mm.
that back to the person that you're with. So
Mm.
any little thing they do,
That's
then it
great.
becomes generalization. Yeah, that's what y'all do. That's what men do. But you're not dealing with men. You're dealing with that man.
Mm.
And so you gotta deal with that person according to who they are, not according to who your friends, husbands, and significant others are. You know what I mean? We do that a lot as women. We gotta be very careful in the conversations that we, indulge in, the circles that we keep.
Yeah.
Look for people who are good, who have good examples of relationship. Now, if we know, if you know, like I know, sometimes people pretend very well. You know what I mean? And so you see on the internet a lot. Oh, that's relationship goals for me. You know, relationship goals is for some people a couple that travels. Relationship goals is a couple that broadcast everything they do for each other. I bought her roses. I laid them out on the bed. The sheets were satin sheets. They were this number count. People like that. People like um to be with someone that lets the world know that they're in love with them. Some women, some men need that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. And again, it's just about learning your partner, the person
Mm-hmm.
you're with. There's no blueprint that fits. There's no, one size fit all.
Right.
So your last girlfriend or your last boyfriend like roses. And so then now you approach the next situation, you constantly buying the woman roses, and within 2 weeks, 2 days they die, and you're wondering why. Oh, she's so ungrateful. No, she don't care for roses. That was
Right.
that was that
That
was
was him.
the other girl, the girl before. You know what I'm saying? So it's just learning the person that you're with.
Yeah.
What do they like? What annoys them? You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right. Can two broken people or one broken person have a fulfilled relationship? So if you both have issues and you both bring in, will unknowingly or knowingly, and you're entering into a relationship with somebody else who has unresolved issues, can that can that be a match made in heaven? Is that possible?
Okay, you're asking if two broken people can still have a successful relationship? Is that what
Yeah,
you're asking?
yeah.
Mm. Our grandparents was doing it. What do you consider successful? Longevity? Are we talking longevity here?
Peace, peace, peace of mind, contentment. Um, you know.
I think with a lot of compromise, yes.
Hmm.
Yes. The reason why I say that is because a lot of the generations before us did.
Hmm. That's a good.
And they went through some stuff, but somehow was able to maintain. I'm not saying that I want to be just for longevity's sake. I'm willing to sleep in a separate bed from my husband, even though that some of our grandparents have done that. And we say, oh, they were married 50 years, but they spent 25 years sleeping in separate beds. Like, I don't even know if I want
That.
that for myself. You know what I mean? So yes, I would say yes,
Hmm.
that it is possible, depending on what people are willing to compromise. Brokenness or being broken doesn't mean useless.
Hmm.
There's a saying that someone said, I think my friend says this all the time, broken crayons can still color, or something like that.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think that's kind of where the angle I would come from.
Hmm.
Broken doesn't mean useless. A whole bunch of us are walking around here, Brooklyn, and we are successful. We got the degrees. We have the careers. We are entrepreneurs. We are out here influencing people, and we are jacked up. So
Whole bunch
why
of
should
money. Whole bunch of
you got a
money.
bunch of money?
Yep.
Yes. So why why
Jacked up.
wouldn't why wouldn't relationship fall under, like, why can't we have a successful relationship then? It's possible. You could be a success in all these other areas. Why should relationship be taken off the board? I think it's possible.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah.
Vera says, "What about if one is religious and the other one is no longer into religion? They woke up. What do you think about that? How do you tackle that?"
What about if one is religious and the other one is not? Ooh, okay. Ooh. I've been there, Vera.
Yeah, that's a challenge. It's a challenge. It's
I've
not.
been
It's.
there.
I think it's possible, but you know what I find? I find that the one person has the one has to be open to, like, the religious one has to be open to um understanding, even if you don't go down that road. Even if Jesus is your Lord and Savior and you going down with that, but you with somebody who don't believe that. I think the religious person has to at least be willing to be open to understanding that other point of view. For
It depends on the individual. I think if you are an extremist in
Yeah,
your religious belief, it ain't happening.
yeah, yeah.
It's not going to happen. But
It's
there are people who are not extreme in their religious beliefs, and they can do that. I know of a couple. One was Muslim and one was Christian, and they was married for years.
Yeah,
They were married for years. So it depends on your practice.
yeah.
What you're into. There's a lot of people. We live in the era of information. We live in the age of knowledge. People are seeking and gaining knowledge now more than ever before.
Mhm.
And so you will have a lot of relationships where one person is like seeking and hungry for knowledge of self, and the other person is chilling. There are a lot of people who are in this situation right now as we speak, where it's just like, yeah, like they wake up and they're having conversation, and they're looking at the other significant other like, you damn coon, you know. I'm just saying it's happening, and they're like, "But I love him or I love her. What should I do?" You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And
yeah,
I really think my answer to that is love,
yeah,
love. That's it. Just love them.
yeah, 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 yeah. Been there, been there. So
Right,
it's it's
right.
it's challenging, but it's not impossible. But what I
No,
found for me, my personal experience is the other person has to at least be willing to hear what you're saying, to see where you're
that's
going.
important.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
important.
And not be
Mhm.
so stubbornly against everything that you bring to them. You know?
That Danica made a good point right here, and Danica, I'm with you. I've heard these stories too. She says, I've been in conversation with a number of elders that admit that if it were the accepted thing of their time, they would not have stayed married to their spouse.
Mm,
Some also said that they've been with their spouse so long, they wouldn't know how to live life without them.
good
I have
point.
heard both as well. Very good point. And that is a fact.
Yeah.
That is a fact. And that's now you see the fact that she's talking to older people and they're able to give her that, that is so important to have. You'll be surprised how many men and how many women don't have that wisdom from the elders to have those conversations. You know what I mean? Without judging. Like I've been in situations when I was in the church specifically where at the end of the day it's like you just stay. They're not giving you no solutions. It's just that you just stay. You commit. Like that's it.
Yeah. Whether you're happy or
You
not.
know? Huh?
Whether you're happy or not.
Whether you're happy or not, whether they're busting you upside their head or not, you just need to pray for them and pray that God changes their heart. And 20 years later, and five broken bones later,
Mm.
I'm still praying. You know what my relief is? My relief is that person's death.
Wow. And
So
think about what
that person dies. That person dies, and now I have to act like I'm sad with everybody else, but I'm truly happy that they've passed on because I no longer have to endure this pain. Like this is people's real lives, and these are things that we don't want to talk about.
not to
You know
mention
what I
what
mean?
and not to mention those emotions we passing down from to our offspring. So and then, like Danica said, um, a lot of the women back then, our grandparents and beyond, didn't work.
Yeah,
So there's
but divorce was so shunned upon. Also, too, the position of the woman back then are different today. Women are not thinking about who's going to provide for me if I leave
right.
him today. We don't
That's my
have that
point.
issue now. Some women do, but for the most part, no. That's
Yeah, so
not
that was
what most of us are thinking about.
my point. That was my point. My point was that most of the women didn't work back then,
Yes,
so they didn't even really have the option to leave
yes,
without it being a struggle, and then the taboo of the divorce thing, and
yep.
so all that came into play. So it's like, sometimes we romanticize the back then, like, oh, why can't we be like our grandparents?
I
But your
know.
grandparents may have been miserable as hell.
Totally different time. Totally different time. And when people say that, for the most part, I just roll. I'm gonna say I just roll my third eye. I just roll my third eye because I feel like, what are you talking about? You don't even know your grandparents' story. Most of us don't even know our parents and our grandparents' story. We know what things look like on the surface. We know that there was always food on the stove. Those are the things that we know,
True.
right? And those are the things that we want to hold on to. Those are the good memories. You know what
That's
I
so
mean?
true.
But like someone was just saying, their grandparents slept in separate beds for years. I don't want that for myself. No,
Mm-hmm.
I married you because I want to be able to feel your skin against mine when I
Right.
feel like it. You
Right.
can't sleep in another bed for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I'm out here flaunting like you happy. That's impossible. I'm too much of a lover for that to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to know I'm miserable.
And what kind of life is
You
that? What
know,
kind of life is that if the vast majority of the time you're unhappy in your relationship? That's no quality of
well,
life.
some people can endure that, Alqamar. You know that.
They do.
We're not all built the same.
Yeah, I get it. Trust me, I get it. They do. That's
Yeah.
why we're kind of talking about this whole topic. It's that our hour has come and gone.
Oh,
Yeah, it comes and goes so
I
fast.
was having fun.
Yes, this is right. Just, you know what? Thank you so much, Danica and Vera, for guys for helping to shape the conversation. That was very helpful. Oh, in my other
Yeah.
family, they're gone on Instagram. They only give you an hour on Instagram, and they Instagram
Hmm.
shuts you off, so they're gone. But thank you too for them. Those we do this. Hanifah and I, each and every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m., it's the Empower Hour. We do have a Facebook page called the Empower Hour Talk Show. Please subscribe there and follow us, and so you can get your chime when we go live. We also, all of our past episodes, we upload onto the YouTube channel, which is Miss Free the People. That's spelled MS Free the People. Go ahead and subscribe to us there as well, and you can see all, we've been doing this now for about 2 years. And so every week, and so we have topics. We discuss all kind of different things. So go on and check out that YouTube channel for that. Hanifa, podcasting. I want to shout out there. If anybody knows anything about podcasting, please hit me up. I am so curious and interested in getting into that realm. But I don't know where to begin. So somebody help me with the podcasting
Yeah,
thing.
get your equipment.
Yeah, is that what I was on YouTube trying to figure it out, but I don't know why it just seems so overwhelming for me. I think I'll do better if somebody's guiding me one on one. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's a whole nother genre. Until next week, family. Hanifa, you want to share anything before we go?
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm still in recovery. I can't wait to get back to my full self, but no,
Yeah.
that's having a big gap.
Congratulations on
Thank
being a
you.
mom. Oh, tell me the baby's name again.
Negasi. Negasi Okshabaro Ridley is his name.
What does
Negasi.
that mean?
Negasi means he shall be crowned.
Oh, Nagasi. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing a big, bright, beautiful bundle of joy into this
I
world.
know.
You and
No,
Jesus.
this
Thank you.
morning I looked at him and I tend to look at like, my kids, try to figure out like how they're going to be from
Yeah.
early. So I write stuff down. This morning I woke up and I was spending time with him, and the first thing that came to my mind is assertive. He is going to be a very assertive, unapologetically assertive. And I told his
Oh,
dad that this morning, and he was like, and that's fine, as long as we teach him, how to do it respectfully. And that's exactly what I said. That's going to be our job is you can be assertive, you can be unapologetic in your yes and your no, but do it respectfully. But that is already one thing that I see in his personality.
oh, I love it. That little
Yeah.
so blessed. He's so blessed.
Hmm.
Okay, family. Until next week, take care of each other out there. Peace and love.
Bye.
Mhm.